Hello everybody, welcome back to my Legend of Korra review series where we take a look at the new episode each week and I give you my thoughts and feelings on them. Today we are on episode 5 out of 13, I believe. There's 13 episodes. Episode 5 is entitled Enemy at the Gates, and I'm feeling a little less enthusiastic about this episode compared to the last 4 in this season already. I don't think it was bad. I think that I'm beginning to see, like on Twitter I said, I'm beginning to see hints here and there of Season 3 poking its head in terms of disjointedness and the quality dropping a little bit. I'm not happy with it. I really hope that it stops. So I guess let's get right into it. My first thought was, before anything even happened and we saw the panoramic shot of the whole Kuvira's Earth Empire army and the airships flying in, my first thought was, so Kuvira has been conquering Earth Kingdom villages, towns, and cities, and has generally been acting expansionistic and antagonistic, even though she hasn't officially proclaimed herself as the emperor or whatever until recently. But she's been acting like this, especially when we learn more about the relationship between Sue and Kuvira. And Sue knows how Kuvira is, and when she left Zaofu, we saw what Kuvira flat out said, look, I'm going to go do this. So you're telling me that nobody, like Sue, who's supposed to be this smart person, or anyone else, nobody thought that maybe one day Kuvira would be coming back. And even Sue herself says, when I heard that Kuvira proclaimed the Earth Empire, I knew she was becoming here. That was that was more than a couple days ago in the storyline. But they didn't prepare anything. They didn't prepare defenses, they didn't prepare... All that there was the domes were shut around the city. You're telling me that she didn't talk to President Raiko before, or Tenzin, or the Earth Queen, or I guess... not the Earth Queen. I was meant to say the Fire Queen, but it's the Fire Lord. Zuko's daughter. No one, she didn't talk to anybody? I don't know about that. That's a little unrealistic. So then we get into the whole meeting. We see Kuvira and Baatar talking in front of the map. And my first point that I bring up several times in this video is going to be Baatar Jr. is a total prick. And that guy needs to get his ass kicked, because he seems like he just wants to fuck over his entire family. I don't know why. All that we hear from his side is, I didn't want to live in my father's shadow, but I'm gonna conquer and possibly destroy my entire city and maybe even cause the deaths of my family. Yeah, the dude's an asshole. And we get the Varric scenes. Varric is so great. I never get tired of watching his scenes with him. I love when the spirit gun, for lack of a better term, Yu Yu Hakusho fans will appreciate the terminology, the spirit gun that they're developing. I think that's what it's supposed to be, a weapon that shoots spirit energy. The spirit gun backfires and blows the hole in the train, and Julie goes flying out, and Varric rescues him. And I didn't realize it until now, and now that I've realized it, I've understood that it's been like this the whole time. Julie and Varric totally have a Tony Stark and Pepper Potts things going on here. I never realized it till now. Am I the only one? Maybe I'm last to the party. But that's what I thought of when he pulled her up and she fell back on him, and it looked like they were going to kiss, and then he was like, well, I need someone to clean all this up. If you would have put that in an Iron Man movie, I'm pretty sure something like that almost identically happened in an Iron Man movie. But that's what they remind me of, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts. I thought that was cool. I love Tony Stark and Pepper Potts, so that's great. Julie, by the way, this episode, awesome, by the way. For a minor character who suddenly became awesome, cool, I love it. So, Varric, for some reason, gains a conscience. That's an interesting change. Even though, part of me wants to criticize it and saying it's weird because they want to give him a conscience just to create another strife in the story. They want to give Varric a conscience all of a sudden so he could be against Kuvira. Because let's be honest, we all know by the end of the season, everyone's going to be against Kuvira. They kind of already are at the end of this episode. So, part of me wants to say, oh, that's kind of stupid because they want to make him against Kuvira, even though he's done all of these other terrible things in the past. But then, the show itself kind of lampshades it by him acknowledging it himself. He's like, before, I would just want to make money off this, but now, I think it's bad. So, I can't fault the show for doing it when they lampshade themselves. For those of you, that's a TV tropes reference, or I guess, terminology. I think that's where it originated. So lampshaded basically means when a show or a book or a narrative or a game, when they use a trope or they do something kind of silly or stupid, that a lot of the times it can be forgiven if the show itself acknowledges it. So when Korra tries to be like, Varric, who's never had this conscience or sense of morality the entire show, now suddenly does. Some people who watch a show like me might be like, I don't know if that's really right. They lampshade it by him acknowledging it, and then a lot of people are like, okay, they at least acknowledge that they're doing kind of something ham-fisted. But because they acknowledge it, it's okay, and that's how I felt about that here. That was way longer than I actually wrote down on my notes, so I don't know why it took so long on that. But anyway, I'm very interested in the spirit gun technology that he was developing. Like I said, whenever I first said it, I'm 100% positive Kuvira started this. The entire reason was to have a weapon to use against the Avatar, because, as we saw, just using a little branch from a spirit tree, fucking shit's powerful. So that's what I think she wants. Of course, a super weapon can be used against anybody, but the Avatar, still, at this point, in the Avatar universe, is the most powerful being in existence. So we need someone to fight against that, because I'm pretty sure Kuvira realized that Korra, whenever she came back, she would eventually come back and she wouldn't be on her side. So now we get to the Asami scene, and this is where I'm beginning to see, this is where I want, again, to criticize the show, but I also can't. So I want to criticize the show because Asami's scenes in this episode have nothing to do with what's going on. And I want to be... My criticism last season would have been, look, it's disjointed. You're disjointing the episode. You're having all of these other things happen, and then all of a sudden there's just these Asami scenes. And they don't seem necessary. Wait until I explain why I'm not going to actually count this as a criticism. Don't kill me yet. I would have said in the past, these aren't necessary because they've already had multiple things going on in the episode. You have, Korra meeting with Sue, you have Kuvira meeting with Patar, you have them meeting up with everyone meeting each other and then splitting off in their own camp. You have the subplot of Varric and Bolin trying to escape. So you already have the main plot and the subplot going on. You don't necessarily need the Asami tertiary plot, if you want to call it. But I can't criticize it, really, because the scenes were so good. Like, the scenes were really good. I really like Asami as a character. So she's one of those main characters who just needs more screen time because she's so good. The scenes with her dad are awesome. They're heartbreaking. They're emotional. They get you thinking. They remind you about everything that's happened in the Avatar universe. They're very, very good. So on one hand, while I can say I don't believe that they were necessary in this episode, they were so good that I'm willing to just forgive that entire criticism because I really like it. And so, awesome. So now we get back to Batar meeting his family with Kuvira, and again, my note here is, once again, Batar Jr. is a total dick and needs to get his ass kicked. Because he's being super antagonistic, and unless Sue, punched him in the face or something a bunch of times, I don't understand what his problem is with his family. I don't know if they'll ever explain it, because I get what the juxtaposition is supposed to be, or whatever you want to call it, with Kuvira and Batar. Kuvira is the one who pretends to be, neutral, or not neutral, but pretends to be more peaceful, although in reality she's not, but she pretends to be that way, where Batar Jr., he, right out of the gate, is just like, let's fight, I don't give a shit, I hate my family, I want to take them down, we're going to conquer the whole city, we're going to kill everybody. He doesn't say that, but that's what I'd like to think he's thinking. So I get that they're trying to do that, comparison or togetherness or whatever you want to call it, but I don't understand. I don't know if they're ever going to explain that, because they don't need to, really. You just have an idea that this person's a jerk. I really don't like him. I really hope someone punches him right in the face. I'd like to hope that it's Opal who does it, and I don't know why I'm picking Opal. Maybe because she's, the least threatening figure in the Beifong family, or maybe Toph does it. Someone in the comments last episode, I'm so sorry, I forgot who it was. I believe it was KLXXC. I don't know how you pronounce your name. A long-time viewer, so thanks for commenting. But I believe it was her. I'm saying her because her avatar is a female, by the way. So if you're not a woman or sorry. But I believe she said that the creators have confirmed there's more Toph coming. So let's hope that's true. So I would like to say, I was saying it'd be Opal because she's the least threatening. But then I thought, what if it was Toph? What if she came back and just beat the shit out of Batar Jr.? I'd be totally fine with it. So, but then here's where we're getting hints of season 3, with Bolin's whole scene. My note was I'm starting to get that anti-Bolin hatred beginning to boil and bubble and rumble, because Bolin's little show that he puts on, it obviously does nothing. It doesn't convince anybody. It's supposed to be kind of funny in a way, but it goes on way too long. It doesn't accomplish anything. He just becomes, he's just annoying in it. God. Why can't they make Bolin more serious while still trying to be funny? Bolin has never reached that Sokka level of a character for me, where Sokka could be funny, he could be serious too, he could get things done. We'll get into the fight scene later on where Bolin comes under the effect of Mako amnesia for a long time until the end, but I just didn't like it. I got that feeling where I was like, oh, Bolin, I hate you. And I haven't felt that way this entire season yet, so... Although I didn't even put this in my notes, but there's no Mako this episode. Where did we last see him? Oh, he's with the Earth Prince. I'm wondering what they're doing. I wonder if they're going to get back to that. Once again, I don't watch my episodes on Nick.com, so I couldn't even see the preview for next week. It's entirely possible that the Prince and Mako will be doing whatever next week, but maybe instead of the Asami scenes this week, they could have referenced, or at least shown them for like half a second to see what they were doing. I don't know. Because for as much as I like Asami as a character, I don't think her story with her reuniting with her dad is going to go anywhere in terms of the overall plot and the overall resistance to Kuvira, whereas Prince Wu surviving, hopefully, until Kuvira gets killed or deposed or whatever, that will affect it. So I feel like as much as I love the Asami scenes, they're not as important to the overall plot. They're very important to her character. But I feel like maybe they should have shown a little bit of that, at least. So then we get to Kuvira, or Opal, basically saying all the things that Kuvira has been doing. There's slave labor, there's dissenters disappearing, there's re-education camps. And I have to say I'm a little disappointed because before, Kuvira was definitely into the villain. She was definitely a villain. Let's be honest here. She was a villain, but she was the gray villain. She was the villain who you were like, okay, she's done some wrong things. But overall, what she's trying to do is right, which is in line with all of the other villains. And of course, all of them eventually become into the total evil category, which is what happens here. And I thought they were going to go with something different, where they were like, they were just going to have a villain who just didn't agree with what everyone else was doing, like who was opposed to Korra, who was opposed to Sue and all of them, but still wasn't evil. But once I found out that there's re-education camps, obviously they're going to call back to the Dai Li doing their mind control shit that they did from the first series. But once I heard that there were re-education camps and slave labor, I was like, well, Kuvira is now totally in the evil category. And I'm kind of disappointed because I like villains who... I mean, I have no problem with just evil villains who are evil. But I explained this last episode with the Fire Lord, Ozai. But villains who are gray are more interesting. And she came off that way. And now she's just evil, you know? Now she's supporting slavery. Now she's brainwashing people who disagree with her. Now she's forcing, Varric to make super weapons for her. Now she's just evil. She's not gray, she's evil. And I'm kind of bummed out about that. So then we see the backstory between Sue and Kuvira. I feel like Tenzin and President Raiko had the right idea. Sue is the one who should have taken control. I believe I even said that at some point. It might have been the first episode of this season's review. But I did say at some point, I remember explicitly saying, I expect at the end of this to have Sue come out as the leader. Maybe it was even last season. But I believe I said that. And I feel like when Tenzin and President Raiko were appealing to her, they were right. She is the one who should have taken control. I really don't understand her reasoning in why she didn't want to take control, where she was like, I don't want to be seen as a conqueror. She basically didn't want to be seen as Kuvira, but there are ways to unite the kingdom without conquering. Like, she could have done another thing. She could have done it a different way. She could have, instead of coming and saying, look, here's my army, join us or you're going to die, she could have been like, look, we will give you all of these things. Like, the good aspects of what Kuvira is doing, without the whole, slavery and forced labor, or slavery and re-education and all that. She could have done that, and then also just not done the evil stuff. So, I feel like it's a bit ham-fisted, and this is like the first time this season that I felt like they've done this. It's a bit ham-fisted that Sue didn't take control. Her reasoning doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because there are more ways to accomplish unity than just conquering everyone. So, this is what I'm saying when I'm beginning to see, like, bits and pieces of Season 3 poking in. It seems like they did something that was not logical just to create conflict in the plot. And, there has to be conflict in the plot, but my problem is you have to do it more subtly. Like, you can't just be like, Sue's not going to take control because she doesn't want to be seen as a conqueror. Don't think about all the other ways you can unite people. She doesn't want to conquer them. So, I don't know. And so then we get to Korra talking with Sue after the history is done, and my note was, what Korra says is basically, I'm not going to just kill everybody in the army. I'm going to go talk to her. And my note actually was, hey, Korra has finally gained some perspective. Call me surprised. She didn't just accept what someone else wanted her to do, and she thought for herself. That's a shock. I don't know if that's ever happened yet in this show, and it finally has. Granted, it kind of happened at the wrong time, because she probably should have gone and just destroyed everybody in her army. Because Kuvira is obviously evil now at this point, but I don't know. So we get the meeting between Kuvira and Korra, and that's fine. I don't really have any notes on that, She's like, look, I'm not going to invade the city unless you talk to Sue, and Korra's like, look, maybe we can just stop this, blah, 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 blah. Sue's obviously not going to do anything about it. We find out at the end of the episode. Sue and the twins went to go kill Kuvira, I guess, or depose her. So that obviously is not going to work, but I'm fine with that. And then we get to the escape with, this is the subplot that I felt like, again, fulfilled the subplot requirement, which means the Asami part wasn't needed. But, so we get the escape, we get Julie, Bolin, and Varric, they're leaving, and this is when, I said Julie was being a badass in this episode, but in my notes, I didn't get to that point until right here, when she's fighting in the mech suit, and she's just whooping everyone's ass, and Varric's off in the corner being, like, he doesn't know how to work his own equipment. I thought that was hilarious. But Zhu Li is just being totally awesome this episode. And so then my note, once again, is Baatar Jr. is a dick. He needs to get his ass kicked. And my biggest problem with this fight scene is Bolin succumbing to Mako amnesia and forgetting he has lava bending until the very, very end, when the fight pretty much is already over. When if he would have used it at the beginning, we saw the second that Mako used lava bending, he beat those guys, like, right away. He beat the two people in the suits, like, immediately when he used lava bending. When you have a mega power that you can use, why don't you do it from the beginning? You would have won. You would have beat them. So again, Mako amnesia. It's really annoying. I don't understand. Season 3 is poking his head in again right here. You gave Bolin this stupid power. Let him use it at least. Don't just have him do Why is he even fighting? Trying to fight in the mech suits. The mech suits are supposed to be for non-benders or for, like, crowd control. You're an earthbender who can use lava. Why? You guys, they need to stop this shit, because I'm really liking this season, and I'm not happy with the direction that it seems to be going at the end of this episode, kind of. So we get, so that's pretty much it. We get to the very, very end where they're captured, which, if Bolin would have used lava bending from the beginning, they wouldn't have been captured. But Julie kind of, like, she says she's going to follow Kuvira, and she never liked Varric. I don't believe that at all. I was reading online before this episode, before I watched it, I was just reading reviews. Most of them were spoiler-free. Actually, all of them are spoiler-free. I just knew Julie did something, because I kept seeing people say, like, there's no way Julie could be actually doing that. Like, that's all So I didn't actually get spoiled, but a lot of people seem to believe that she's actually turning on Varric. I don't think she is at all. I think she's playing Kuvira. I think she's going to try and get free from being, like, monitored, and then, like, either sabotage the machine or try and free Varric and Bolin or do something. I don't believe for a second that Julie... by the way, it's not Julie. It's not Julie. It's not Julie. It's Julie. It's Zhuli. I see people spelling it Julie, and it's not Julie. It's Julie. Ju. Z-H-U, not Jew. J-U. So there we go. I don't think Julie at all is turning on them. But there we go. That's the episode. Weakest episode of this season? Maybe. Yes, I would say. But it still was very good. It was good. I wouldn't say very good. It was good. But it was definitely the weakest episode of the season. I guess we'll see what happens next week. Again, I didn't see the preview, so we either have to... What they'll probably do is do a split, where it's like half the episode is Mako and the Prince, and the other half is whatever the hell is going to happen with Zaofu. Or maybe they'll just do all Zaofu again. I don't know. I'm excited, though. I'm still vested in the story. I'm still interested to see what's going to happen. I'm hoping that KLX6C is right and Toph's going to be back, because I want to see Toph kick some ass. I want to see her just, like, metal bend the entire army and be like, done. Can you not imagine Toph just showing up and being like, man, this is what you guys needed me for, and she just metal bends the entire army in, like, 10 seconds and beats everybody, and then just walks away? That'd be totally a Toph thing that she would do. Anyway, I hope she's coming back. I hope that's right, that rumor or confirmation is correct, but thanks for watching, everyone. Leave any thoughts you have. Feel free to disagree with me, I'm sure. This is one of those episodes where I kind of ragged on my criticisms a lot longer than my likes, so I always get comments and disagreements when I do that, so feel free to leave those in the comments below. I will address them. I will talk to you about them. I will discuss them with you. We can agree to disagree. We can have a conversation. We can talk about what might be. People don't seem to know this, but when you watch my videos, I only have like 1,500 subscribers, but a lot of you guys are really smart. And we have really interesting conversations in the comments. I really like it. So get invested in the comments section discussions, because they're really interesting sometimes, especially on the Avatar videos, where we like to talk about, like motivations of characters and what possibly could happen and what we'd like to see go on. And it's very fascinating for someone who makes these videos where I'm talking to a camera and I get no response back. So check out the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time for the next episode, episode 6. Whatever it's called. Until then, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you then. Farewell.